Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for our 6 p.m. news over Camdis Television. Let's begin with our lone headline. Thousands of faithful and well-wishers gathered at the cathedral and lined the airport in Bamenda to warmly welcome Pope Leo XIV during his pastoral visit. In a message centered on unity and healing, the pontiff called on communities to embrace peace, reconciliation, and renewed hope for a more harmonious future. You have this story and more in a bit. Thanks once more for joining us. We begin the news in Bamenda, where the historic visit of Pope Leo XIV to Bamenda brought hundreds of thousands to welcome and listen to the Holy Father. He held a pontifical mass at the Bamenda airport, where he prayed for peace, unity, reconciliation, and forgiveness of one another. Bertrand Tita, our special envoy to Bamenda, has updates from the Bamenda airport. Hello, Bertrand Tita, can you paint us a picture of the event at the Bamenda airport?
Thanks for joining us live in Bamenda, precisely at the Bamenda airport, where Bamenda has witnessed a historic moment with the visit of Pope Leo XIV. It was exactly 10:51 that the Cameco aircraft on board Pope Leo landed in Bamenda. Immediately after that, he went straight to the cathedral, where he had a closed-door meeting with some authorities. Arriving at the cathedral, he was warmly received by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, and the Governor of the Northwest Region, Adolf Mendelofre.
Exactly
in their messages,
10:51
from the Archbishop
a.m.
Andrew Kia to the representative of the Funds of the Northwest and Southwest regions, the Muslim community, the president of the Pentecostal churches in Cameroon, and of course representative of internally displaced persons, they all talked about the suffering the region has been going through for close to 10 years. They presented the situation of the crisis to Pope Leo XIV, hoping that his visit will bring renewed hope, peace, and reconciliation to the region. Responding to them, Pope Leo XIV recognized the fact that the people of Bamenda, or the Northwest and Southwest regions, have suffered for close to 10 years, reassuring them that his coming is to bring renewed hope, pray for peace, reconciliation, and of course harmonious living together. Pope Leo called on people to realize, called on everyone present, that peace is not denominational, peace is for everyone to welcome. After that, Pope Leo XIV and his delegation headed straight to the Bamenda airport, where he officiated the Holy Mass. And in his preaching, Pope Leo stressed on the issue of peace, not just in the Northwest region, not just in the English part of the country, but in the world at large. He encouraged everyone to be preachers of peace. He encouraged everyone to work for reconciliation, forgiveness of one another, so the world can know peace. And in his message, Archbishop Andrew Kia welcomed the Pope, calling him, regarding the visit of Pope Leo XIV, as Daniel in the lion's den, coming to Bamenda at a time when the security situation can never be guaranteed. He called on Pope Leo XIV. He referred to him as a good shepherd who is laying his life for his flock. He called on him, he thanked him for coming, thanked him for the message of peace, thanked him for the prayers for peace, reconciliation, living together, and of course the entire population of Bamenda, over 100,000 that gathered here today, celebrated the Mass with the Holy Father. And of course, like I said earlier, it's a historic moment for Bamenda. And of course, despite the fact that some persons or people stood against a visit to Bamenda due to the insecurity Poblio took upon himself to visit Bamenda to see things for himself, and he's leaving Bamenda with renewed hope, with the population hoping that his presence in Bamenda, his prayer for peace will of course yield fruit here in Bamenda. We've come to the end of his visit to Bamenda, but of course his presence in Bamenda will remain on every lip for generations to come. For Camden's Television to Bamenda on the special visit of Poblio XIV, I am Bertrand Tita. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Bertrand Tita. Before the Grand Mass at the airport, the Pope, shortly after his arrival in Bamenda at exactly 10:51 a.m., he held a Mass at the cathedral which carried one message: peace, forgiveness, and renewed hope for the English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Let's get details. Promise Akante.
The moment Bamenda had long awaited arrived at 10:51 a.m. when the Cameco plane bearing Poblio XIV landed at the Bamenda International Airport. Thousands lined the route, waving Cameroonian and Vatican flags as the Holy Father's convoy moved straight to the St. Joseph Metropolitan Cathedral of the Archdiocese of Bamenda. At the cathedral, the Pope was warmly received by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, and the Governor of the Northwest Region, Adolphe Lely-Lafrique, alongside a cross-section of religious, traditional, and civil authorities. Inside the cathedral, filled beyond capacity, the atmosphere was solemn yet expectant. A series of speakers took turns to present the anguish of the region after nearly 10 years of socio-political crisis. Archbishop Andrew Keya of Bamenda set the tone, followed by the president of the Pentecostal Churches Association, the Fund of Mancon, speaking on behalf of the funds of the Northwest and Southwest regions, the Imam of the Boya Mosque representing the Muslim community, and a representative of internally displaced persons, IDPs. Each address painted a vivid picture of suffering, disrupted schools, broken families, lost livelihoods, and the deep wounds left by years of conflict. The speakers unanimously pleaded with the Holy Father to intercede for the two English-speaking regions and to pray for the return of lasting peace. In response, Poblio XIV acknowledged the pain the region has endured, and I quote, "My presence here is for renewed hope," end of quote, he told the congregation. He stressed that peace is not denominational, nor does it belong to one religion, but is a collective responsibility. The Holy Father urged the population to clean their hearts and embrace forgiveness, insisting that reconciliation must begin with each individual. The Pope's words drew visible relief and applause from the crowd that filled every corner of the cathedral and spilled into the compound. From the airport to the cathedral, residents had turned out in huge numbers, many in tears, to witness the historic visit. After the encounter at the cathedral, the Holy Father returned to the Bamenda International Airport, where he officiated a Holy Mass for the thousands gathered. The transformed airport, fitted with giant screens and sound systems, allowed the faithful to follow the liturgy as the Pope blessed the region and prayed for peace. For Bamenda, a city scarred by nearly a decade of turmoil, April 16th will be remembered as the day that the Holy Father walked its soil and spoke directly to its pain. The flags still fly along the street, but it is the Pope's call to forgive, rebuild, and hope again that now lingers in the air.
The Metropolitan Archbishop of Bamenda, His Grace Andrew Nkia, presented the plight of the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. Speaking during the peace meeting with His Holiness Poblio XIV in Bamenda, the Archbishop, who doubles as the president of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, they spoke the minds of a people who have been in bondage for close to a decade. Let's now take a listen to His Grace Andrew Nkia in the following excerpt selected by Promise Akante.
For the past 8 years, many of our people have suffered a lot from a situation they did not create. Thousands are either internally displaced or escaped as refugees. These were shut down, and for about 4 years, our children were not allowed to go to school. Priests, religious, and bishops of this province have either been harassed, beaten, kidnapped, or even killed in this conflict. Many women have been rendered widows, children orphaned, and many people rendered homeless. That your feet are standing on the soil of Bamenda that has drunk the blood of many of our children. We in Bamenda can address ourselves in the messianic words of the prophet Isaiah. A people that walked in darkness has seen a great light. We are happy because in this time of crisis, we see you as a messenger of peace. We see you as an ambassador of reconciliation. We see you as a promoter of justice. We see in you the presence of God Himself among us, who has come to visit His people like the dawn from on high. Your presence here, Holy Father, I can confidently say, now is the time for peace.
Addressing the population of Bamenda, His Holiness Pope Leo XIV on his part has called on the population of the Northwest region to be the light in darkness and to build peace. He was speaking in Bamenda during a peace meeting on day 2 of his pontifical visit to Cameroon. Let's now take a listen to the Holy Father in the following excerpt selected by Promise Akanti.
Yes, my dear sisters and brothers, you who hunger and thirst for justice, who are poor, merciful, meek, and pure of heart, you who have wept, you are the light of the world. Bamenda, today you are the city on the hill, resplendent in the eyes of all. Sisters and brothers, be the salt that continuously gives flavor to this land. Do not lose your flavor, even in the years to come. Cherish all the shared moments that have brought you together in these times of sorrow. Let us all cherish this day when we have come together to work for peace. Be like oil poured out upon the wounds of your brothers and sisters. In this regard, I would like to express gratitude to all those, particularly the lay and religious women who care for individuals traumatized by violence. It is an enormous task that goes unseen day by day. And as Sister Karine reminded us, it is also dangerous. The masters of war pretend not to know that it takes only a moment to destroy. Yet often, a lifetime is often not enough to rebuild. They turn a blind eye to the fact that billions of dollars are spent on killing, on devastation, yet the resources needed for healing, education, and restoration are nowhere to be found. Peace is not something we must invent. It is something we must embrace by accepting our neighbor as our brother and as our sister. We do not choose our brothers and sisters. We simply must accept one another. We are one family inhabiting the same home, this wonderful planet that ancient cultures have cared for over millennia. Pope Francis's insight in the apostolic exhortation Evangelii Gaudium came to mind as I listened to your words. He wrote, "My mission of being in the heart of the people is not just a part of my life or a badge I can take off. It is not something extra or just another moment in life. Instead, it is something I cannot uproot from my being without destroying my very self. I am a mission on this earth. That is the reason why I am here in this world. Dear brothers and sisters of Bamenda, it is with these sentiments that I am here today among you. Let us serve peace together. We have to regard ourselves as sealed, even branded by this mission of bringing light, blessing, enlivening, raising up, healing, and freeing. All around us we begin to see nurses with soul, teachers with soul, politicians with soul, people who have chosen deep down to be with others and for others. And above all, together, always together. Let us walk together in love, searching always for peace. Thank you.
Away from the excitement following Pope Leo XIV visit to Bamenda, let's now talk something else where the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, has promulgated the bill to amend the constitution of the country to institute the post of Vice President of the Republic. With this done, the Vice President should be known anytime soon, as Promise Akante tells us in the following report.
The bill to amend the Constitution was approved by the Congress of Parliament last week, thereby giving the President the powers to appoint a Vice President in the country for the first time since 1972. Following the approval, the President was expected to promulgate into law before proceeding with the appointment. The promulgation implies the Vice President should soon be known. However, the topic continues to animate debates and discussions across the country, with lots of pros and cons being put forward. The soon-to-be appointed Vice President shall last 7 years and shall afterwards be elected on the same ticket as the President, with the election to be on a single ballot. There therefore promises to be more constitutional reforms in the country, but of course it also raises the question of how healthy it is in a democracy. Since 1982, Cameroon has amended the constitution 6 times, this one inclusive. Law number 83/6 of 21st July 1983, Law number 84/1 of 4th February 1984, Law number 91/18 of 23rd December 1991, Law number 96/06 of 18 January 1996, Law number 2008/001 of April 14, 2008, and the 2026 law promulgated this April 14. The question of whether or not a Vice President must be elected, not appointed, meets answers from different countries in and out of Africa. Gabon's 2024 constitution, in Article 48, the Vice President is appointed. Cote d'Ivoire's 2020 constitution, Article 55, is the same. In South Africa, the 1996 Constitution in Article 91 says the President appoints the Deputy President from the Parliament, no national ballot required. And beyond the African continent, the 25th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, Section 2 reads, and I quote, "Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the Vice President, the President shall nominate a Vice President who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress, no public votes." For those questioning the legitimacy of the law, well, the Constitution itself in Article 2 sub 2, which says authorities derive their powers from the people by way of elections unless otherwise provided for in this Constitution. The last clause is decisive. So, while arguing whether Cameroon should have a Vice President, citizens should also look at the facts. The region of origin and political obedience of the new Vice President is also on debate platforms. Let us wait and see.
Cameroon is turning its biggest timber buyer into its strongest watchdog, with public contracts consuming nearly 13,000 cubic meters of wood each year. The government has launched a nationwide sensitization drive to ensure every plank used in state projects is legally sourced. Elise Yanda and Melanimbo.
As a move to combat illegal logging and boost the forestry sector's contributions to the national development, the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife, alongside the Ministry of Public Works and the Ministry of Public Contracts, have begun sensitizing Chief of Service officers across ministerial departments. The objective is to raise awareness about a landmark joint decree signed on December 15, 2020, which establishes binding procedures for the use of legally sourced timber in all public procurement.
Is to inform and also to sensitize all the Chief of Service of Contract Public about the implementation of this arrêté of number 0162, signed by the three minister in charge of forest, minister in charge of public work, and minister in charge of the public contract, concerning the use of the legal wood in the command or public command.
The explanatory guide presented during the session aims to ensure that all public actors understand their role in enforcing these multi-sectoral regulation. The joint decree responds to a persistent challenge. Despite MINFO's sustained effort, illegal logging continues to thrive, largely fueled by economic operators who benefit from public contracts. Official estimates indicate that nearly 13% cubic meters of wood are consumed annually through public contracts, with 1,029 calls for tenders generating over 2,134 construction sites between July 2015 and June 2016 alone. By positioning the state as a major consumer of wood, the government now seeks to transform public demand into a lever of legality, bringing an estimated 13% of the 800,000 cubic meters of illegal timber produced each year into the official market.
So we are trying to sensitize, to inform them the existence of this joint order that was signed by the Minister of Public Contract, Minister of Public Works, and the Minister of Forestry. The Cameroon government has signed so many conventions, international conventions, and has also been working hard to manage its forests. It was really, at the same time, it was observed that the use of wood, the woods that are used in the execution of contracts are from illegal sources. So there is a need to reverse this trend, so the existence of the joint order. Sensitizing the Chief of Services in the charge at the word of contract in ministries to follow on. We of the Ministry of Public Contracts, we often do control of the awards of contracts, and we will make sure that in the tenders file that they use, they take into consideration the application of this text.
Beyond curbing illegality, the initiative is expected to significantly reduce tax losses linked to unregulated logging while strengthening Cameroon's commitment to international conventions on forest management. The decree operationalizes several practical measures, including the recovery of wood waste from logging sites, facilitation of the exploitation of promotional species, and the updating of documentary requirements for project managers, contractors, and service providers. These tools enable procurement commissions to verify the legality of timber at every stage of the public contract, reinforcing transparency and accountability. With the forestry and wildlife subsector expected to make a strong contribution to Cameroon's emergence by 2035, the decree is seen as a cornerstone in transforming the sector into a third major economic lever. As the sensitization campaign continues, chiefs of service are being urged to integrate legal wood verification into their daily procurement practices. The government remains confident that full implementation of the December 2020 decree will not only curb illegal logging but also provide a culture of legality among economic operators.
This April 16, 2026 marks the International Day Against Child Slavery. This phenomenon has been growing over time and is denounced by educators. To combat this scourge that plagues the society, they propose several solutions such as family planning and a security police force accessible through a toll-free number, among others. Elise Yanda and Sharon Arahtani.
Child Slavery Day serves as a reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by vulnerable children worldwide. In Cameroon, despite legal protections, child labor and exploitation remains visible in daily life, particularly in markets and urban centers. We experience this all the time, in our market, when we go there, we see this constantly. I have kids myself. I could never accept my own child being outside at 3 or 4 years old when they are supposed to be at home. When you see kids wandering around, a 3 or 4 year old with a tray on their head, honestly, that is not right at all. And there is a lot of that back and forth. When you see that a child has been missing for 2 or 3 weeks, the streets are really dangerous now. So several kids near me, even in my own neighborhood, often come up to me until we leave off the trash, until we fetch water for money. I see this every day. It is common to see children, sometimes as young as under 5 years old, engage in hawking and other forms of street trading. These children are often exposed to harsh weather conditions, long working hours, and potential abuse. Child labor is not something any parent will wish for. If children end up working, it's to help their parents meet their needs. So it's the difficult conditions that force parents to send children into the streets. Many families face difficult living conditions, pushing parents or guardians to involve children in income-generating activities.
Chez quelqu'un, on lui dit que cessez de taper sur l'enfant, il va vous demander peut-être qu'est-ce que c'est votre enfant et tout, vous savez.
If you go up to someone and tell them to stop hitting, the child, they might ask you if it is your child. And all that, what I mean is, I really wish there were a toll-free number so that when we see something like that, we can call sometimes, we can call the police or the army, but maybe they are overwhelmed. If there was a toll-free number, it would be anonymous. So we could call and tell them, look, maybe our neighbor is acting like this, like that, even when it's the parents themselves taking it out on their own kids. It's getting really crazy. So a toll-free number that we communicate about, that's what I am suggesting.
Donc c'est un numéro vert qu'on communique. C'est ce que moi je propose.
The introduction of a dedicated emergency or hotline number to report cases of child abuse or exploitation is proposed. Child labor in Cameroon is a complex issue rooted in economic and social challenges. While poverty plays a significant role, it does not justify the exposure of children to harmful conditions. Collective action from government, communities, and individuals is essential to protect children's rights and ensure a safer future.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our 6 p.m. news over Camdis Television. It was a pleasure staying with you, but do not go nowhere. Up next is Select 2, a presentation of Tabby Clarkson. Stay tuned.